Hi, how's it going?
It's going good.
It's going okay?
Yeah.
All right, so tell me what's brought you in today.
I'm struggling. I don't know what to do. I'm having a lot of problems with my ex-boyfriend, and it's kind of, having a big toll on my life right now.
I'm sorry. I know that from my experience, ex-boyfriends are never very fun and they can be very draining if it's a messy breakup. So has it been a messy breakup for you?
Yeah, it's been going on for about 7 months, and I have been trying to leave for a long time, and then I just get sunk back into everything. And he's really aggressive, and he makes me feel really bad, and I have bad days at work because of it, and I just am stressing about my life because I know this isn't what I want, but I wanted him when things were good.
Okay. So it sounds like you're feeling confused and a little overwhelmed by the whole situation.
Definitely.
Is that true?
Yeah, because I do love him and I do want him, but everyone around me doesn't like him, and it's really hard for me to accept him when other people don't accept him, especially people that mean a lot to me.
Does that ever make you feel kind of guilty when you go back to him, like because other people you really care about don't agree with it? So does that kind of make you feel guilty at times when you go back?
Yeah, and it's hard because I know that he's not the best for me. He doesn't treat me the way that I feel like I should be treated, but I know that I've also done things wrong too, and so I feel like really guilty about that.
Okay.
And it kind of, because I'm like, maybe if I gave it my best shot, if I was always really good to him, then he wouldn't have been bad to me. But
so you're carrying this guilt, and well, I think that's really normal when you've had a really long and sounds like a little messy, difficult relationship. I think that's normal for both parties to kind of feel guilty about some things because, when you have a lot of resentment and a lot of issues, it's not always easy to handle that perfectly every time, right? So I think that's probably normal how you're feeling when, you're trying to fix something and you just can't get it right, so I'm sure it's been hard.
It's frustrating because we've tried multiple times, but nothing ever changes. We always say, okay, well, this is what I have to do, to make you happier. This way you have to do to make me happier. And it's just like a week later, it all goes back to how it was.
Okay. So how long have you guys been together total? I know you said it's been about 7 months of trying to break up officially. How long was the relationship before?
1.5 years.
Okay.
Yeah. So, it always was bad though. Like even from the jump, it went bad really quickly, and we just kind of masked everything and let it go and normalized it. And then eventually I was just like, I can't do this anymore. I don't want to.
Can you explain a little bit more about how it was bad right off the start? What did that look like? What things happened?
We just fought right away. We just clashed. Everything about us clashed. When things were good, they were really good. When they were bad, really bad. And it got to the point where things started becoming physical, and it just wasn't good. And I really hated him for it because I had never put my hands on him.
Okay, so this all came from him. Did you ever see that coming, or was it kind of a shock to you when it happened?
So I was honestly warned about him before we even got together.
So I know that if that was me, for someone to warn me and then it be right, I'm sure that just made the situation 1,000,000 times worse.
Yeah, and then he just kept telling me things could be different, but they weren't. And he would, you know, he would beg for me after he'd do something bad, and I had never had someone like work so hard to have me before. So like I really appreciated it, and then
Made you feel wanted.
yeah, and there'd be times where I'd be like, okay, like we'll be fine, we'll get over it. But like we could never deal with our situations. We could never talk about them. We would, but we would fight.
Okay.
And even after the fact, if it would come back up, if we'd be like, okay, we're good now, and we'd bring it back up, we'd fight about it. Even to this day, we'd fight about something probably a year ago.
Okay. So from my understanding, the situation has just gone on for so long now.
Yeah.
From the beginning, you were never able to figure out a healthy way to communicate with
Right.
each other. And then it just continued to escalate as times went on. Resentment keeps building, the complications keep building, other people's opinions, people are starting to figure out all of these things. And then you felt guilty for going back, and now you're trying to prevent that from happening again. Is that kind of what has been happening?
And I'm just still stuck in the cycle about it because like he'll be nice and he'll bring up times that things were really good, and I had never felt so good in my life, but I had also never felt so bad. And like when things got really bad between us, I was making terrible decisions. Like I wasn't myself. I was the worst version of myself, and it was just awful. And
it sounds like that made you blame yourself and feel bad about yourself, even if he was kind of the catalyst to it.
Yeah,
but it
definitely.
made you kind of internalize that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My self-esteem was definitely shot.
Yeah. Well, and I could see how it would all be very confusing because, like you said, he's given you your absolute best times and then he's given you the worst. So how can this exist in one person? Right. And I think that would be very hard.
Yeah, it's hard to swallow, and I'm still stuck in a situation where I don't know exactly what to do. He's been gone for the past few months in a different country, and now he's going to be coming home soon, so he wants to talk.
How are you feeling about all that?
I don't know. Like, I know I shouldn't, because I know I'd get stuck, sucked right back into everything.
So you don't trust yourself in this situation to be able to look at it rationally.
Yeah.
He manipulates in such a way that it's hard for you to look at it for what it is, because he's presenting something else.
Yeah.
That would be very exhausting.
It's hard because like I know I want him, but I don't want this version of him, and I don't want this unhealthy relationship at all.
And you can't pick which part of him you want, unfortunately, and you can't make anybody do anything, no matter how much you love them.
Right.
And I could see why that would be very overwhelming, trying to process that all in your head.
Yeah, it's draining for sure.
So when did you say he's coming back?
In December, and then a few weeks.
So coming up very quickly. Okay. And you're pretty positive he's going to be trying to contact you. Does he every time?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, he does.
Have you talked about this situation with anyone else? Is anyone supportive of you, or are they all just like, no, don't talk to him?
Yeah, everyone. It's not that I would lose. I don't know if I'd lose my friends and my family because of it, but I would definitely I'd feel ashamed by my decision. Just because like they've almost made it sound like I'm choosing him over them, and I don't want that.
And that's not how you feel from what it sounds like.
No.
Does it ever feel kind of unfair for them to say something like that? Do you think that's accurate? For them to feel like you're choosing him over them, do you think that's true?
I mean, I think that in the past 7 months, when things were okay between me and him, I would obviously do everything in my power to make him happy. It wasn't necessarily that I was ignoring them, or I wasn't the same person. And I knew it because all of the decisions that I was making and the actions and stuff was just, it wasn't me. But I don't know, I was so blinded
Mhm.
by everything.
So you made sacrifices, it sounds like, for him in order to keep this relationship going.
Right.
And it didn't really matter where you had to sacrifice your time, you were willing to do that for him.
Right. And I like wanted him to be around my friends and family so much.
But they wouldn't accept that.
I mean, they let it happen, but
Okay.
it wasn't good.
Yeah. Well, I could see why all of this would be very overwhelming, very hard on you, because you're trying to figure out what you want for yourself, but you're also trying to please him and you're trying to please everyone else, and all three of those categories don't go together at all.
Right.
So, so altogether, it seems like, we talked about your relationship with him is the biggest negative effect on your life right now. You've been trying these past 7 months to get away from all of this, but now it's going to kind of start again now that when he comes back. So we need to maybe try to find a way, kind of a game plan maybe of what we could do to prepare for that.
Right.
Does that sound like something we could work towards together next week?
Yeah.
And I want it to be your decision always, okay? So whatever you want this to be, either be with him or don't be with him, we need to get some type of game plan so it's not just hitting you in the face where you're not ready to say what you want, okay? Because it needs to be for you,
That sounds
right?
good.
Okay.
Right.
All right, well then next week we'll focus on that.
Okay, cool.
All right, thank you.